Hello everyone, my name is Emmanuel Akura and you're watching Politics here today on RTM. We've decided to do something very different. You're going to see faces that you were not expecting to see on this platform, but that is what changes are about, right? We like challenges, and so today we've decided to come together, myself and with somebody I call my mentor, my spiritual mentor, in the person of Akinkunle. Akinola. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine, and you? It's actually a great privilege for me being on this platform with you to discuss something we look like politics. And things like that. And I also believe it's a very great innovation that we're actually coming together, trying to sit together, trying to brainstorm, putting ideas together as to issues around the world. And I believe it's going to be a refreshing time and an awesome time for us to actually discuss one or two things, enlightening one another and also to enlighten the viewers. And I promise you it's something of great note that you feel like, no, this is actually what it is, as we'll be discussing issues that are rising.
Oh, well, thank you. You can hear that for yourself. I don't need to tell you. He is a very, very, very articulate when it comes to how he uses his words. And, you know, today on Politics Today is a show where we bring a lot of stories that are taking place in some of these countries where the political tension might be high, might not be high, might just be the good things that the countries are doing, might be the tension between the countries, and then we'll be bringing those stories to you and we'll discuss them. Some of the controversial topics, actually, we'll bring in them on this show, and then we'll talk about it and we'll try to enlighten you and then proffer solutions to some of all these things that are happening in the world of politics. And sir, you and I are here in South Africa, right? we've experienced a lot of attacks on foreign nationals. What they tagged xenophobic attacks. We've experienced that, and now the president of Nigeria visited South Africa, you know, just to try and mend the relationship, because there was this tension between the two countries about what is going to happen. You know, we saw the reprisal attack from the Nigerian after what happened in South Africa. What do you think this visit will bring to these two nations?
I think from my own opinion and the way I see it, thank God we are in this country together, we see things for ourselves. I want to believe this is actually a good start. However, it may not profile a lasting solution. Okay. The reason why I said it may not profile a lasting solution is this. The government can be up there. Okay. They try to put things together, they try to put ideas together. Yeah. When it comes to the phase of implementation, we know that the government will just put laws and systems in place, but will the people adhere and accept it and follow suit? And it's one of the things we both know when it comes to issues like this, because this issue is extremely sensitive when it comes to foreign nationals and the people in this great country in which we live in. We know how receptive these people are to changes. And like you said in the opening of this program, like changes are inevitable, but how do we position ourselves when changes actually come? Is it something we accept, or is it something that we totally reject? So that's why, in my own opinion, it's going to be a little bit tricky.
Okay, it's going to be a little bit tricky in the sense that the measures in which the two leaders are taking is not going to work, or it's going to be difficult in the sense that the people on ground are not going to accept the changes that are being implemented, or the governments that are going to implement in their various.
You know, in my own opinion, let's look at it from this perspective. Okay, one of the issues arising is that foreign nationals are taking our jobs, and you can attest to it. Is that true?
No. From where I'm sitting, no.
From where you're sitting, no. From where I'm sitting as well, it's a no. Why are we saying it's a no? Because most of the companies here in South Africa are operating in South Africa. Even if you put in your application, forget whether you studied here or not, whether you're from Harvard or wherever you're from, wherever, irrespective of the skin tone. Their priorities actually goes to South African citizens. Okay, let me give you a practical example. There is a company that I know of. They've been advertising a position up until today. The position has been there for more than 8 months. Are we saying we don't have foreign nationals that can fill in that position?
Yeah, but they won't give it.
But they won't give it. So how can we now come to a conclusion that foreign nationals are actually taking the jobs that actually belongs to South Africans.
You're making a very interesting point, but I want us to really talk about it because this is where we're living. We understand the situation of things in the land in which we reside, and then we know how things are being done. We know how the government actually prioritize their
citizens,
which is a good thing.
Yeah,
you can't
true.
argue with them.
That's right, yeah.
Which is a good thing. So where is that idea coming from? The idea of foreigners are taking our jobs, the idea of foreigners are taking opportunities that belong to us. Where is that idea coming from?
Okay, in my own opinion, this is how I see it, and which you will also attest to. It is, you know, we're not trying to downplay on anybody's intelligence. We're not trying to say some people are lazy or this and this and this. Yeah. I think the idea from my own perspective actually comes from the minority. Because look at it, somebody actually working in a bank cannot come and say that foreigners are taking our jobs. You're working in a bank. Yeah. But there are some people that are unemployed. We won't lie about the unemployment rate in South Africa. But what are those people actually doing to be employed? If the government has actually laid down a platform that, okay, any company, whether it's owned by foreign nationals or locals, and you know that locals, they won't even take a foreigner. They won't take a foreigner, except on the grounds of permanent residence, and then you have a wealth of experience, then they can absorb you. Now, look at it from that trend now. If we now follow the trend, the government has actually put it this way. This is the law of the land. Whether you're a foreign national that you own a business here, at least 80%
should be the locals.
Should be the locals. So now, if we now say that minority, which is 20%, are taking the jobs, even working to companies today, you won't see foreign nationals there.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but there is another thing also I need us to look at. You have opinions of people who are highly educated and well employed, right? Also have the same views of these people who are on the street, who are not working, who are not even educated. Some of these people, you hear comments from them about foreigners taking their jobs and all that, and you get surprised, like, how can somebody who is well informed be making such comments? So where do you think, don't you think it's because of just the mindset and the how the foundation was laid?
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah, true. You mentioned mindset. Thank God you actually mentioned that. Okay, going back to it, let's look at the case of the recent attacks on foreign nationals that happened. How many employed people were on the street, part of the mob?
Yeah, so yes, I get what you're saying.
You see, you wouldn't find it because those guys are at their place of work.
So now, should we then call these that this is people, should we call these being politics? Politics being played. Why I say that is because we have people in government who make reckless statements that instigate some of these things that are happening. So in the case of that, like the last one was the worst. Extremely. Where we saw shops were being looted, shops were being burned, about 12 people died, and out of the 12 they said 10 were South Africans, which I personally, I doubt if that was the true account of what happened. But you know, they say it and you have to accept it the way it is. So now you have these people in government making statements. Deputy Minister of Police coming out and also made a statement that he made a few years back that also resurfaced on that time, where people were then talking about how can a leader make such statements?
Such statements,
you know, and then for people to also come outside and condemn what is happening. A lot of them were hiding. You know, a lot of them were also adding fire to it. And Minister of International Relations, Naledi Pandor, former Home Affairs Minister, also made comments that I found to be very, very absurd. She said something in the line of, if the Nigerian government want to help, the only way in which they can help is by stopping the people who want to come sell drugs in South Africa from coming. Now, first, I found so many uninformed comments. And,
that's right.
You know, because to me, how can you as a government know somebody who is leaving your country to go sell drugs in another land? It's highly impossible.
That's right.
For you to find that. But then for them to be making these comments. So now, to me, I feel this is where the problem emanates from.
That's right.
So now they are the ones that are supposed to be leaders and are making those comments. Then you're actually telling the person on the street that if my leader can agree with me
then
on these,
what are we saying then?
you know,
That's right.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
so,
true.
The problem is not just about employment, but I think the problem has to do with the foundation.
And let's go back to the aspect of foundation you mentioned, which is true, and also the mindset. We know that South Africa is actually a country that actually just came out from apartheid, but I feel the problem, like the mindset you mentioned, is things happens in life.
Okay.
What's my posture when things happens? Do I dwell there?
No, would you,
Or will I move forward? So the thing is that a lot of people are still dwelling on that. Like someone actually said to me, "Ah, you don't know what they did to us. We are still recovering after how many years?" So which means if you're still dwelling there, you can look forward. And any small thing that happens like this will trigger that sense that has been there. So it now goes back to the mindset.
I have a theory, and it's not proven, but I will just put it out there. I think the government of South Africa started very well, right? Despite the fact that they were always crying about the things that were done to them in the past. Yes, we agree, horrible things were done to these people in the past, but a foundation also was laid for them to from there build and then start going forward. So I think along the line, the government lost it in the terms that, I mean, when it comes to management, they lost it. And what can we do then to make these people to have a shift of mindset is by us introducing something. What is that thing we're going to introduce? That the reason why we're not providing adequate jobs for you guys is because we have a lot of foreign influx in our country. That is why you guys are not getting jobs. This is my theory. You know, so now from there, the attention is gradually shifting from people relying solely on government to make provision for them. People now start attacking the ones that were living in the country. Or do you?
No. I see from where you're coming. Let me just chip in one aspect to it, and still to the aspect of the job. I once met a South African, and this is so surprising. In the statement is this: I will go to school, I'll get a diploma. You as a Nigerian, you come to this country, you get your PhD, we apply for the same job, I will get the job.
Yes, yeah.
You understand? So it actually goes back to the aspect of the mindset. And if we now look at it from the aspect of foreign nationals are taking our jobs, or maybe what the government is actually saying, one thing we need to understand is population is increasing.
True.
When population increases, do we have a system in place that creates more job, or we still want to maintain the status quo? Let's say, for example, we've actually built the foundation. Like you said, foundation is important. We build a foundation, okay, in the next 5 years, we'll be able to create 20,000 jobs. Yeah. Do we have a foresight for the next 15 years? If we don't have a foresight, then there's a problem, because population keeps increasing. If you look at statistics, the number of students graduating is increasing. If we have an increase in the number of people graduating and we still leave it at that level, it will never merge. And that's one of the things I also feel like African leaders also need to look into. We need to be able to forecast into the future.
True.
We go into statistics from 5 years back, 10 years, we put it, okay, what's the increase, what's the percentage increase as to the number of people that are graduating from institutions? So if it is 50%, then we need to know as a government, we need to make it at least 75%, so that when people are graduating, we won't have these issues of unemployment. So that's the reason why you see someone that is already hungry before, and you now do a little thing, or you make a reckless statement. I'm trying to trigger something in that person. And this is one of, like you actually said, we go to the foundation, government has actually made something in place. You take our citizens. However, are we creating jobs? As the trend is going up high, are we following the trend, or are we still there? So if we remain there, that problem will never be resolved.
No, I agree. I totally agree with you. And, you know, it's very... why I blame the leaders more is that some of these people are uninformed, and like you said, some of them are protesting on the streets. Some of them don't even have matrics. You know, but when they hear that a foreigner is taking their job, they will stand up. What kind of a job do you expect somebody like that to get? If you look at Nigeria, where we are coming from, it's a country where a lot of us don't rely on the government.
No.
You go to school. This one go to school. People, after finishing school, there are no jobs. They create jobs for themselves by making sure that they go in a place where there's nothing and they make something out of it.
That's right, yeah.
You know, and then that also has helped in taking the load away from government in
That's
some
right,
ways.
yeah.
Even though we have irresponsible government that is not providing for the people. But you need to understand that we building coming up, and now the generations that are coming, we're passing that on to them.
Yeah.
Truly, you don't rely on government. We don't even know what government is. We only hear about it in the news, and then because we've never experienced, there are no basic amenities that you can say, this is what we enjoy from the government. So if this government has been a government that, if this government is a government that I'd say to the people, you know, you have to empower yourself.
That's right,
You know,
yeah.
have this mindset. When Nigeria thought Ghanaians were taking the jobs, taking their women and doing everything, they say they want Ghanaians to go. The Nigerians never fought Ghanaians. Nigerians never destroyed some of the foundations that was laid by Ghanaians. Some people will tell you that were trained by the so-called Ghanaians. And today you look at them, they are business mogul. They are doing
They're doing very well. That's right,
so
yeah.
I think what the government was supposed to do is to make sure you put in place measures that we then have. Because if I am occupied with something, I will not have that time for me to go and attack you.
That's right.
You're taking something from me, because I will be okay and content with what I have.
That's right.
You know. So, but then when you don't put those things in place, then the government, it becomes a failure on the part of the government.
To actually pick it up from where you stopped now, you mentioned an aspect, and the truth remains, like we said earlier on, you won't see the employed ones in the recent xenophobic attacks. Now, let's take it back to Nigeria as a case example, a case study. While growing up in Nigeria, there's this spirit that has been put inside all of us, entrepreneurship spirit.
Sure.
So what now happened is most Nigerians here in South Africa came with that same spirit. And that's why you see a Nigerian come to South Africa today. You know, somebody said something to me one day. It's so surprising. I've never seen a Nigerian sleep on the streets in South Africa.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's true, because a Nigerian comes to South Africa with, let's say, he left absolutely nothing, and is able to say, sorry, please, can you give me 100 rand? They take 100 rand, take 100 rand. He has 500. He starts something very small. This guy starts very small. But look at it, as time goes on, before you know what's happening, this guy is big. What is this guy doing? Is he doing drugs? Is he doing all those things? Because the mindset, like you said. So if the same thing is also instilled into all these people, that we don't necessarily need to wait for the government. In Nigeria, you see a first-class degree holder having a shop somewhere, you're like, what are you doing there? Can't you? And you understand? You don't have to wait for anyone. And check all these people that we call the business mongols. They are not working for anybody. They are not working for the government.
I think it's also one thing is Nigeria, we don't have a government that is responsible, but people should be able to take a lot of things from Nigeria.
Responsibility, yeah, that's right.
We have 36 states in Nigeria. Out of these 36 states, you can go to every state, you will get billionaires.
That's right.
You know, we are actually producing billionaires every day. That's not because of government.
No.
You know, because we know the people who are in government, we already know they are corrupt. It's everywhere on this continent, and it's a problem that, you know, we're experiencing, and that is what is happening in South Africa also. But if a government can be able to say to the people, this is the way we want to go, and this way, in the next 5 to 10 years, this is where we'll see you people be.
Yeah.
You know, the people, if they might not see it now, because a lot of people, when you're hungry, when you're hungry, you're actually an angry person.
That's right.
And the chances of you doing something that is not in accordance with the law are very high. So if you can be able to say to the people, okay, if you want this for now, this is what you can do for now, but in future, this is where we're going.
Yeah.
And, you know, you'll be able to build on that.
Yeah.
And like you say, if you have a vision as a leader, trust me, the world.
Yeah, you know, to add on what you actually said, what you said is so profound. Now let's look at it. Most of the people we have in Africa here, so sorry to say this, our mindset and our focus is now.
Now, that's true.
What I can get now and now. But look at it in the Western world. Their focus is for the next 50 years. Okay, remember, let's take it back, like 2012 and some years back. The guys in power then, some people, I don't want to start mentioning skin tones and the likes, they started saying that with the rate of the population here in South Africa, if we continue with what we are doing, ESCOM, there will be load shedding. Are we not seeing load shedding?
We're experiencing it now.
We are experiencing it, but some people said it years back. And our focus is just now, now, now. So if as a people, the government can actually, okay, let's do it now. We know that there are immediate needs that needs to be met. In as much as we have immediate needs that needs to be met, do we have a forecast for future? Do we have 10 years plan, 20 years plan, 30 years plan, based on statistics, based on population? I want to believe if we have that system in place, most of all those things we're calling problems will never happen.
Be a problem. And another thing also you need to understand also that I was saying to somebody is that we that know the truth, we know the reason why some of these things are happening. And you know that it's not every foreigner who is in South Africa who is doing illegal things to gain a living. So what I usually advise some of the South Africans I've come across is for you to make sure you learn a thing or two.
Do they have the spirit?
From some of these people.
Do they have the spirit?
That is what we're saying. Like what you actually say, that they don't believe in tomorrow.
Yeah.
They believe in now. You know, because there's a system that has been designed. And that system is actually to enslave a lot of people. And you agree with me. You have somebody who is earning 15,000 rand. This person is paying for a car. He's paying for a phone. He's paying for clothes. He's paying for food. You know, he's taking everything, virtually everything on credit. And then at the end of the day, you see somebody who's earning higher than you who will be telling you that they are broke and they're coming to you to give them money. Then you ask yourself, what are you doing with the money you're earning? Because I sat down with a friend who is South African, and I was able to analyze his income. And I look at it that you are earning up to 15,000. I was surprised. Okay, you are earning above me, you know, but you are always begging. So what is it? But what can we do? Because this is what I want you to do. Can you be able to cut this down? These and these and these. And he listened. And today, to the glory of God, he is very thankful. And then he's beginning to think in a very different way.
That's right.
So if you don't learn from these people, we learned so much from the Ghanaians.
That's right.
Ghanaians were in our schools. They were teaching.
They are teachers. That's right.
Teaching in our schools, selling, hawking on the street. You know, every Ghanaian there we agree. You know.
Yeah, that's right. Can I just add on to that? Let's look at it from the aspect of knowledge. Whether we like it or not, it's either you acquire it, and how do you acquire knowledge? In what ways? It's either you steal it, or you get it from somebody. So if we here can position ourselves like, okay, this guy knows better than me. This guy has the spirit. How can I tap into this guy's spirit so that I can make the best use of myself? So I think that's one area that is lacking. I just want to sit back, expect manna to fall, whereas there's that guy there that has the spirit. Like some people will say, no, that guy is a hustler. But check it, all his hustling, are they legal or illegal? You see people doing legal things, but the fact is this, they are not contented with just one thing. I have one today. How can I multiply my one? And that's the spirit of an entrepreneur. We're ready to take risk. And that's one thing I feel like it's a problem. What should we now rather do for citizens here is that, okay, this guy has a spirit. And let's also look into the banking system. They have made plans for citizens. You can get a loan of up to 250. You can imagine.
Anyways, I'm so sorry. We have to go on a quick break, and then we will come back. You know, to the beautiful viewers out there, I'm still here with my co-host Akinkunle Akinola. We're talking about politics. It's actually fun. I didn't envisage it to be this way, but you know, we'll be talking about the issues that are happening in South Africa. And when we come back from the break, we're also going to tell you some of the illicit activities of some of the foreigners who reside in this country. Also, it's not just only South Africa who are at fault. We also have foreigners who are doing illegal things in this country that precipitated these people to react in a way in which they did. Stay tuned.
Welcome back from that break, and if you're just joining us, you tune into Politics Today with the host, Emmy, Akura, Adaa, and myself, co-host, Akinkunle. We'll be discussing on issues here in South Africa as to the recent attacks on foreign nationals and also the aspect of job creation by the government. And now we're taking it a step further as to we're not blaming South Africans alone because we don't want to be biased. It's something that we need to actually balance. We look at, okay, what is this person's wrong? What is this person's wrong? Then how can we come to the center point to actually provide a solution to the issues on ground? And before we went on the break, you actually said something which is so true. We cannot shy away from. We have some foreign nationals that are doing illegal things. To start with, should that be permitted?
It shouldn't. And you know, let's look at it. If you look at the cry of South Africa, I feel their cry.
That's right.
You know, it's only inhuman for you to say you don't feel it, because if you go to places like Hebrew, if you go to places like Sunnyside in Pretoria, if you go to Yeovil and all those places, you know, and you will see the things that they are talking about. And it's very sad. It's sad in the sense that the same law enforcement officers or officials who are supposed to be in charge of these illicit activities be taking place in all these cities that these people are complaining about, they are still the ones who are in support of it, and the ones who are backing them up. Undercover, you know, and not to, it's proven, it's not something that you can hide. You can go to those places and you see these things are happening. And I cannot allow you to come into my country.
Nobody will accept it. That's right. Yeah.
Will accept it. You go to America, you have to abide by what they say you should. If you are living in South Africa, you should be able to respect the land in which you live. You know, and that's what I'm saying.
No, that's right. Yeah.
The land can only bless you if you respect it. And if you don't respect it, you go there. Then the manifestation of that is what we're seeing now.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, the attacks on foreign nationals, the fight, the anger, and all that. And some of them complain that these people are very arrogant people. You know, they are very, you know, always trying to intimidate the people who owns the country. You know, those things are not what it should be.
You're very correct. You know, President Muhammadu Buhari actually mentioned something that one of the mindsets which Nigerians carry is this: when you go to Rome, you behave like a Roman. Apostle Paul said something: when I was in Rome, I behaved like a Roman so that I can actually win them. And I feel like there's actually been that level of disrespect from other foreign nationals. You come into a country, they have their systems and their procedures in place. They have the laws governing them. But you want to come from your own country. You want to impose your things your own way on them to do. And don't forget, this is a people that they actually came from apartheid. Some of them, the mindset is still there. Some of them, I don't know if you've met one or two people that by you just coming, they're just intimidated by your presence. This one is a foreign national. And the environment becomes tense. It's because some of them are still dealing with it. Some of them are still traumatized. We are not encouraging them that they should remain in that position. However, they need to move out of that position. But on the flip side, to foreign nationals, you don't go into a country and do what you feel is right. You need to abide by the rules and the regulations. No country will accept it.
Accept that. When you live in South Africa, one thing you need to do for us to be able to mend the relationship is first have respect for South Africans.
That's right.
Look at them that this is their country. You cannot come into their country. If a South African say to you, don't know anything, to me, I expect I won't argue with them because I know that I am at their mercy.
That's right.
It is a privilege for me to be in the country. And when you're there and you don't do what they want you to do, you're going to have
problems.
Situations like this where they'll be attacking now they don't care anymore, you know. So now you look at it, the moment you mention where you're from, Nigeria, you are a condemned person and, you know, sentenced straight to death by hanging because you are in Nigeria. And that is because of the experiences that some of these people have had, and some of them because of the things that they hear. So now what can we do as a nation to make sure that we repair that bad image in South Africa and the rest of the world?
You see, in my own opinion, you can't come to my house and you dictate to me what I do in my house.
True.
You understand? So when you come to my house, if I say to you, this is the waiting area, you can't say you want to leave my waiting area and go to my bedroom. That's not possible. You stay in the waiting area. You wait for me to tell you to come, then you come, then we start talking as brothers. So if we lay that foundation like, okay, this is the way it is done, then let us follow the way it's done. The scripture also says you have to obey the laws of the land. It is when you obey the laws of the land that you get the benefits of the land. But if you do otherwise, then whatever consequences come, you're just left with it. So I feel one of the things we need to look into, measures needs to be taken.
True.
Measure needs to be taken, and this is it. If anyone is found guilty, we don't paint the whole nation or every other foreign nationals in that country from that particular country the same. We don't use the same paint.
Crime does not
No. Let's start with individuals now. Let's deal with individuals. Let's assume this person is a Nigerian and has committed this offense. We don't deal with that like, okay, all Nigerians. Let's deal with that crime and that individual. If the law of the land says, if you do so, and so, this is the consequences. You face the consequence. Not the consequence won't go on other foreign nationals, because if we look at it today, go to most of the universities here in South Africa. I'm telling you, the professors there, the lecturers there, we have higher percentage of foreign nationals being lecturers in those universities. These are the people that are actually instilling discipline and actually teaching some of all the South Africans. So we can't say that all Nigerians are bad, all Congolese are bad.
But don't you think also, you know, there's this argument, this is a point, and it's an argument also that has been going on with a lot of people that we have where they behaved and where, I mean, important Nigerians who are doing very well in South Africa. And then you look at it also, South Africa wants people who are doing good.
That's right.
And they will appreciate those who are doing good. So if the rate of people on the street of Hebrew, on the street of Yeovil, Berea, you know, Sunnyside,
places like that, yeah.
You know, in South Africa, that Nigerians are doing drugs, that is actually not good to the youth that are coming out in South Africa. Yeah, don't you think they will condemn that more than if talk about those who are doing it? Because everyone wants to.
You see, the truth of the matter remains this: in every scenario, bad is evil spoken of than the good. We so many times, okay, let's say for example, you and I now, if let's say we want to start giving accolades and the things like that, maybe for whatever reason, I tend to dwell more on the wrongs you've done. I tend to forget the right things you do. And we are not saying that what these people are actually doing is right, because let's look at it. So many lives have been destroyed. True. So many lives. And do we fold our hands and say, okay, these people should continue? Drastic measures needs to be taken. And for the citizens of South Africa also encouraging such acts, we also need to deal with that, because the truth of the matter remains, some police officers are working alongside with these people. Because you can't get the boldness to come into my house if all my security measures are in place and you want to do anyhow. Let's say, for example, in my house, let's say I have about 10 dogs on serious guards. If those dogs of mine, if they're not taking bribes from you, like you give them bones, they wag their tail at you, you give them meat, they do like this. You know, the moment you keep doing that to you, they become your friend. If we can set it, the standard remains the standard. And don't forget, police officers are well paid in this country. If things like that are actually dealt with from the grassroots, then we won't see citizens of this great country also conniving or joining forces with these people. If we get somebody, you dealing drugs, you face the law, you face the consequences immediately. But now we see it in this way: there's bribery, there's corruption everywhere. The point remains this: I give bribe to you, you accept. We are the same thing. There's no difference. If I give bribe to you and you say no, you hold me by my hand. Why are you giving bribe to me? Have you forgotten that it is not lawful for you to give bribe? So if we have people that can stand and say, no, this is not right, then I'm telling you, we will deal with this issue from grassroots. And before you know what's happening, Operation Sweep the Nation is going to happen.
And then, because, you know, a chief in KwaZulu-Natal came out actually and said that, the solution to this problem is not about just the two presidents meeting. It is about going to the grassroots. And then you tackle the problem from there, because some of these kids are growing up with, Nigerian, I'm a Nigerian. The moment you hear that in Nigeria, some of them think like there's a Satan standing at their door. You know?
That's right,
They see they're going to open their ground and go in. And the parents are also they're instilling those ideas in these kids that are just coming out. The mothers are, when you're going to school, I met a lot of them, you know, and they'll say, when you're going to school, your parents say to you, please, when you go to the city, don't stay away from those Nigerians, you know, before they will give you drugs and all.
You're very correct.
You know,
can I add my personal experience? You know, while in school, I have some friends that, you know, project and work will always bring us together. You know, say, I heard that all Nigerians are rich. I said, Nigerians are rich, yes. I heard that they sell drugs. Where are the drugs? Can I see drugs? And I'm like, What are you trying to tell me now? No, we hear that all Nigerians, they deal drugs. And I'm like, if you hear all Nigerians are dealing drugs, that does not say I deal drugs.
Yeah.
We are in this class together. We resume school from 7 a.m. At times we were still in class till 7 p.m. Do you see me do all of these things? Okay, come, let's go out. Come and buy food for us. You are not a Nigerian. And I'm like, why would you say I'm not a Nigerian? He said, everywhere we've seen Nigerians, they spend money like this. And we look at, is this our money? He said, they go to the club, you see bottles everywhere. And you cannot even buy me a food of 50 rand. I said, where will I get a food of 50 rand from? If I don't have, I don't have.
You don't have, yeah. You're not supposed to live under any pressure or try to impress anyone. You know, and that is what a lot of us are failing to understand also. This thing is both ways, like you said.
Yeah.
We have to first be impartial when we're dealing with things like this.
That's right.
We have to look at it from the South African aspect, look at it from the Nigerian aspect also. So we'll be able to, at the end of the day, they will provide a solution that is everlasting solution to the problem at hand. And you look at what is happening in South Africa. I was out there sometimes, like you say, it is true. You will look at people and they look at you. I told one person at some stage that you know, the only time I know that drug or cocaine is why they see it on television. And the person said, I know you're lying. Yeah. So there's nothing, I don't have to justify myself. I know who I am. You know? So I don't have to justify myself. If you think that every Nigerian is like that, I mean, all well and good for you. I used to fight. I'm telling you, I used to fight for me to every now and then justify myself. And but no, it's not everybody in Nigeria. How can you say a country with 200 million people, every one of them is corrupt and is a drug dealer? And I would try to, but then it got to a point where a friend of mine once, who is a South African, called me and they say, Emmy, just stop trying to defend it. Because the more you try to defend it, you're bringing out something. So just leave it. Just leave so I decided, you know what, I'm not going to for me to defend myself or defend where I come from. So now, sir, what do you think we can do for us to police ourselves? Police ourselves in this nation. Police in the sense that if you are now living in a community where we see some of these illicit activities taking place, then we report these activities or we try to expose it in a way in which these things will never happen again.
You see, one of the ways is what you actually mentioned. When we see events like this or things like this, issue of drugs, we need to quickly voice out. Okay. And we still go back to it both ways. If there are no people buying drugs, there won't be business for the people selling drugs.
True.
So now we now look at it. If we can work on the people that are into drugs, proper rehabilitation for them, and after rehabilitating them, and we'll try as much as possible to put a standard in place that they won't go back into it. And don't forget, the problem in this country is not drugs only. We know of alcohol.
No,
that one is
alcohol is number one. Bed is legalized.
It's legalized. Yeah. So we now look at it both ways. The people buying and the people selling. We need to bring both to books, and we know the people buying are people from here. The people selling are from there, because the fastest way to make money is to do this. The fastest way. And don't even forget that we even have some people of this country that they weren't even financing that business. They weren't giving to all these people we're talking about to go sell for them. So one of the things I feel like we do is we can all work together as one. When you see an activity like that, 10-111 is just there for you.
Another thing a lot of people have complained about also is that when some of these people, they report them, and the police that you report,
they take bribes,
goes back to that person and say, this is your brother that reported you to me. And then your life then becomes, you know, your life is at risk now. You know? So it's very, very difficult. First, I think they just need to, make sure that the law enforcement agency, they need to make sure that we have those who are not corrupt.
Yeah.
You know, because you have those who are corrupt. Trust me, the chances are that you arrest somebody today, tomorrow that
he's out again.
Out on the street.
That's right.
But then, because you can't tell me that they don't know these things are happening.
They know.
And they don't know where these things are happening.
They know.
They know very well that in some of these places, these activities are taking place. Why can't we then read these cities of all these things that are happening?
Yeah. Going back to what you actually said is the truth. We've heard of scenarios like that. Your brother said you're doing this. Your brother gave me 10,000 rand to come and arrest you. If you bring 30,000 and and the guy produced the 30,000 immediately, and he let go. So now let's bring it back to the aspect of the intelligence now. I think from the law enforcement agent, like you actually said, and what we've been saying, like I say, you come to my house, you give my dogs bone. If my dogs have been trained in such a way that they don't take anything from anybody they don't know, even if you put all the bones in the world, my dogs won't eat the bone. You understand? So if we now look at it from that aspect, that we now need law enforcement agencies and officers that are strict.
Yes.
They are ready to obey the laws of the land, irrespective of how much you throw to them. And having them be monitored, because it's also very good to monitor them. If we have that in place, now everybody dealing drugs or anybody buying drugs now have this consciousness now that the police officers in town now, if you give them money, they don't accept. The moment you offer them money, if you're supposed to do 10 years, you do 20 years by offering. So now, if that consciousness now comes on everybody that, now, if you try to bribe your way, you're done for. You may not even come out.
I think also the final, for me, this is my parting shot. I think also is, if there is going to be harsh punishment, you know, to the offenders, I think it also
it will help. That's right. Yeah.
Because some of them just, you know, you arrest them today, tomorrow
they're out. That's right.
And if those things are not being put in place, trust me, we're going to see something in South Africa that we've never seen before. The xenophobic attacks that we see right now, trust me, it's not going to stop. It will only stop if these things are being taken
drastic measures are being taken care of.
If we don't experience that, then trust me, we're not going to be able to. The two presidents can sit in Union Building in Pretoria or in Aso Rock in Abuja, sit and then exchange coffees, you know, drink, have whatever it is that they want to have. They're not talking to the people on ground.
Yeah, that's true.
People who are sleeping on the street knows where, know where the pain is coming from. You know, so it's very important also that no one in the world will allow their cities to be operated or taken over by foreign nationals who comes in, and then these people are very accommodating. For them to allow you to be doing all these things in that country, you should have understood that long before now, that these people actually are not against you, but they're against you.
The activities. And that will also bring us back to the parting shirts, in that we know that there are laws in South Africa, but I think they need to be properly enforced. You see somebody rape a lady now, kill the same lady, and we'll say to you, maximum I'll do 10 years and I'll come out again.
That is even it's a very surprising, a surprising sentence that I've never seen, you know.
Yeah.
And in the rating which this is going, is like the men have declared war on the women. You know, but anyway, that is another
topic for another day. That's right.
Thank you so much, sir, because you know, coming together like this, we should do this more often to have the experience and also enlighten a lot of people out there for things that they don't know about what is happening in South Africa. We are on ground, so I think it's important that whatever it is that we're taking here, we should not be giving the negative news.
That's right,
because the more you give the negative news, you start building from there.
That's right,
that is how a bad name comes. South Africans are not bad people. South Africans are...
They're lovely people, accommodating, welcoming.
But at the end of the day, you have to respect them.
Yeah,
if you don't respect them, things will happen. Thank you so much. And to the beautiful viewers out there, I want to say a very big thank you for staying with us. It has been a wonderful show. We never envisaged to have fun like this, and you know, it's an experience, a new experience for both of us. But today we have decided to do this, and we've done it, and it was actually fun talking about these issues that are very important in our community, South Africa. You know, whether you like it or not, if you pray for South Africa, the land will favor you. If you don't pray for South Africa, trust me, it won't favor you. And then at the end of the day, you have all kinds of stories about South Africa. But let all of us keep on praying for South Africa, for the entire African continent, for Nigeria, and everyone who is going through a lot out there. Thank you. Until we come your way again, it is bye-bye.